Bellator 221. Jack Swagger is Jake Hager. This is a whole transformation, man. Great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So what's it feel being an MMA guy now? This is a big move.
You still kind of have to pinch me and remind me that I do it. We watched the first fight back, and my wife was like, "Hey, that's you in there!" Like, holy cow! It's really cool. Just to be in an age where I can cross over and have the opportunity to cross over and just kind of be my own boss. It's very exciting to do that.
What was the biggest challenge as far as, I don't know, training, the mental part of it? I mean, so much goes into what you're doing now. I mean, you're walking in there, guys are trying to kill you.
Yeah. Everyone would think like doing the hard training, the 2-a-days, and learning 5 new disciplines would be tough. That wasn't tough for me because I've done it all my life. Just gone back to what I was used to. I think the hardest part for me was really just making sure I wanted it in here. And now that I can see the benefits of it so well, it's so much easier. But like at first getting started, like, do you really want to go in there and be at risk for all this? Yeah, it's a lot. I had a career that could essentially be washed away if I would have went in there and got beat up. Luckily I didn't, and I'm still here, and I still am able to wrestle professionally and fight.
It's interesting that you just said like the benefits of what you're doing. How would you define that? Like what versus being in WWE? Like what are the benefits for you right now?
Definitely the main benefit is that I'm home. So
Okay.
if I've had 2 hard practices in one day, I'm coming home.
Yeah.
If those practices didn't go as well as I wanted them to, I got my support system at home. So for me, after being on the road 200 days a year for 12 years, it's really refreshing for me and my family to kind of have a phase 2 of our life and still get to be in the limelight, get to be on television, and get to chase after something very special.
How does your family handle what you're doing?
Well, my wife is a huge MMA fan, and anytime we have any fights, she's like, "Go to practice and get punched in the face." She has been my rock through this. So it's been really nice on that end. My parents, on the other hand, they are slowly coming around, but they're always gonna, it's a learning curve. So once they understand more about MMA and see me in there, I think they'll come around as well. But there are benefits to training hard and being in really good shape. You feel better, you're healthier, and let's face it, health is wealth.
There's no doubt. Do you miss? I want to go back, just rewind for a little bit. Or do you miss the football days? I like a young guy up. You were on the field with guys who were playing, ended up having NFL careers, the whole deal.
Yeah. Absolutely, I miss the football days. I mean, being able to play at the University of Oklahoma is one of the great honors in my life.
Right?
I can still remember goosebumps. I can still remember the first time I ran out of that tunnel in front of 90,000 people. I mean, I was in tears. Like this,
Wow.
it was cool. And to think about how far we have come since then. Football is a sport that I will always love. I made the decision to stop playing, and I kind of just told myself that I can't look back, I can't regret, move forward.
But just for 1 second, how far do you think you could have gone?
I mean, I don't think. It's funny that I got a full scholarship to a Division I school.
Yeah.
But at the time, I didn't see the NFL. Like, it just wasn't on my horizon. Not that I didn't think I could do it. It just hadn't registered yet. Maybe because I was just too young when I stopped. But I think I can do anything, and so I like to.
You got to have that confidence to do what you're doing,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me about T.J. Jones. What do you know? What scares you? What makes you confident?
Big guy, good boxer, good jab. I'm sure he has a very hard right hand. What I like is I don't see a lot of head movement. I don't see a lot of feet. I don't see a lot of footwork in there. So I feel like I can capitalize on that. And to me, as a wrestler, I always have confidence that I can take anyone down. And so, like, you're a black belt in jiu-jitsu, you're a world champion boxer. The question is, can you wrestle? And we're going to find out.
So interesting. Because a lot of people will look at wrestlers and be like, you guys are not doing something that's quote unquote real, and there's no way that if it was actually on the line. So it's like you're kind of like living proof that, hey man, these are some big time guys over here. And I don't know how you think if there's others who could do what you're doing to cross over as well.
I think it's definitely very special what I'm doing. I don't think there's a lot of guys that could cross over or even have the opportunity to cross over. I always laugh when people say pro wrestling isn't real, because I guarantee you couldn't do it and you couldn't go through it. So whether it's real or whether it's not the point. This is what it is, and it's something still very difficult to do.
What was the hardest part for you?
The entertainment part was the hardest part. Like the technique was very similar to wrestling, very similar to playing football. You need leverage and you need to be very good with your technique to be safe and not get injured. Finding that character, and being the entertaining side that's amplified and larger than life was that was the hardest part for me to get my head wrapped around, to be able to be comfortable in my own skin and just be able to sit anywhere, flip that switch, and be that character. It took about 2.5 years in their developmental program and lots of classes with, Hall of Famers like Dusty Rhodes working with me, 2 guys with a lisp working with each other. Stuff like that was very difficult, but at the same time, it was fun and it was something new, and it's something that I always remember.
It's interesting that guys would, take the time to take you under their wing, try to help you along. It shows that you were doing something as far as, being likable and not, I don't know. I would think guys would be more territorial than that.
Yeah, it's definitely very similar to MMA, where you're kind of everybody's in it for themselves. But at my time there, you could definitely see the transition before it was territorial and you had your top guys kind of running stuff. And then as I was there longer, I could see the locker room change, where everybody would understand the storyline, the situation, like, hey, tonight is about this guy's moment. Right. And if you were involved in it, everybody had no problem. Like, we wanted to help you have your moment. And you could see that throughout everybody. And I think that's what makes a good product. After the first fight, I had so many of the guys that I had wrestled with in the past, come out and support me. And I think that really shows that over the last 12 years, I've worked with some, incredible, really good people, and I was very thankful for it.
Do you want to bring any of them into the cage with you, supporting you?
Would I like to bring them in a cage?
Well, maybe just on your team.
Yes, I think you're going to see a lot of guys this Saturday come into the cage and support. Maybe not from the old company I was at, maybe at a new company.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to give us a little more insight on that?
Oh, let's just say they're going to be the elite.
Okay. That's big time right there. Conor McGregor's talked about maybe going over to WWE. You think he could pull that off?
No, he's too short.
For real? They couldn't build something around him?
You know what? Anybody who has that type of personality, he's already larger than life. He absolutely would excel at it. The thing with the WWE is you have to understand that no one person is bigger than the WWE or the history of the WWE. It's gonna be there whether you're there or not.
He might have trouble understanding that.
I would think that, and plus he's already ran his mouth enough. I don't think he would have a lot of people back there willing to work with him.
Yeah, I hear that. Would you call Vince McMahon a good guy?
I would call Vince a good guy.
Really?
Yeah, I was always very impressed with Vince. Look. I'm here on my second MMA fight because of Vince, because I was a professional wrestler, because I already had a name for myself. And I have to thank Vince directly for that, because of the opportunity he gave me. It's given me so many other opportunities in the future. So I would definitely call him a good guy. But I bet he wishes he would have paid me what I wanted before I left.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
No chance of a renegotiation here?
Oh, never say never. You know, you just have to put a couple zeros on it now. That was the thing. I was there for 12 years, and it took that time for me to understand my value. And you don't just understand, you just don't realize what you're worth and what you can do overnight there. And so it took about 12 years before I really understood, like, hey, this is what I'm worth, this is what I can do, and you guys know that. And they didn't want to come to the table on it, so I left.
That's because you're at the start, right? You feel like, oh, I'm just so lucky to be here and to be
Right.
doing this and to be out here and
Right.
all these. But then it's like, oh, I'm providing you something.
Right, and I don't want to talk like I got a big head or anything, but I think wherever you go, you need to understand what your value is, and you, above all, have to be your biggest fan because no one else will. And so it's a fine line. It's a two-edged sword that you kind of have to walk, and there's a lot of bluffing. There's a lot of negotiating. Bottom line, you need leverage to do anything. And so this is a great opportunity for me to gain leverage at whatever I do.
So what's it like walking around knowing that you can physically take care of about 99.9% of the populace? I just want to know what that would feel like as I sit here all 5'10", 175 pounds of me.
Well, it feels different now than it would like 10 years ago because we just live in a different age where even if someone picks a fight with me or my family and I win, I'm going to end up probably getting the worst end of it, you know, after it's all said and done legally. But I'm not going to lie, it feels good. It feels good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels good.
Do you worry about the impact of what you do, CTE, concussions, all that?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, and that's something that I definitely struggled with before coming into this sport. I'm good friends with Chris Nowinski, who's a former WWE guy. He kind of looks like me, people say, and you see the great work he's doing about bringing all the information and highlighting how severe concussions can be in CTE. So it's something that you have to take with a grain of, that you have to take with you and you have to be aware of. This is, you know, it's 2019, so you have to be very smart when you train. You have to be serious about your recovery. And gone are the days where you're like, where the coaches say, you don't get any water until practice is over. Right. Or if you're hurt, just shake it off. You know, those days are gone. I think sports medicine has advanced far enough to where there's enough technology and information out there to train smart and as much as you can prevent injuries like concussions.
So in the locker room, like let's say in the wrestling community, is that like talked about? You know, or people like, because I'll do stuff with like old school NFL guys, and they will, you know, CT, what you're talking about. But then there's others who, well, basically what you're just saying now.
Right, you're right.
Because there's the whole thing. I can be out there again tonight, but then, you know, maybe you're doing something that's really not good for you long term, dude, and maybe you should take this one off and come back again in 2 weeks or whatever.
Yeah, and I think it's a generational thing, you know.
Totally.
A lot of people would say, hey, we're not just tough. We're just not as tough as those guys were. Maybe that's the case, or maybe we're just more informed. And so it's one of those things as humans that we need to be honest about it. Like, concussions are real, CTE is very real, and it could be very damaging upon your life. So is it worth it? Is getting one more payday worth it? Is having that like spectacular match worth it? Or should you like, hey, maybe let's just be cautious here?
Right. You got a family and all that stuff. One question on Ronda Rousey. What do you think of a rookie year?
Great, man. For someone to cross over that fast with a name like that, it's really cool. They always say, an old saying in pro wrestling is you need dragons to have a dragon slayer. And so without Ronda, would you have the rise of Becky Lynch?
Right.
Without it?
Right.
So it's cool. You always have that duality.
Do you like watching her?
I don't watch WWE anymore.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Is that just right when you left, that was just kind of cut it, or?
Honestly, I didn't really watch it when I was there. I would randomly catch my matches, but it's just like I've seen so many shows. I was like, in my free time, I'm not going to sit down and watch more.
Fair enough. All right. So what's the key to getting TJ as we wrap up here?
The key to TJ, head movement, avoid that jab, get him up against the cage, get him down, and go to work. Really look forward to it. I was surprised after the last fight how much fun I had. I don't know if I'm a sociopath or something, but I was very easily able to flip that switch. And one of my coaches, this is awesome, Joey Best, he's my jiu-jitsu coach, one of the best black belts in Florida, in the world. And he, right before I went out there, you know, because I'm kind of a laid back I'm a nice guy. Yeah. And he had to go up to him and he said, hey, you have permission to hurt this guy. And for some reason, I needed to hear that. And after I heard that, I was like, okay, I understand, you know. And so it is a fun aspect, you know, you get to come out there and have all this masculinity and testosterone flowing through you and just have fun with it. Best advice I've gotten from my coaches is, this is really cool, so enjoy it as much as you can.
So part of you wants to be the good guy, but then there's, we got to do business.
Ooh, you know what?
Not even.
It's so much fun being booed. It really is a lot of fun being booed. To have like that many people just have a problem with you, it's kind of like, ooh, I got under your skin a little bit, okay. And then I wonder what happens if I do this. Oh, you didn't like that even more? It's cool. Definitely the vanity and the ego in me likes being the good guy and likes having the cheers and yay. And it's definitely harder to make people cheer for you than it is to make people hate you. So it's harder to be a good guy. It's easier to be a bad guy, but to be a really bad guy, to be that fire-breathing dragon, it's something very special.
A lot of people have a hard time embracing the villain. I feel like maybe not in your mind. I'm not sure.
I think you're seeing a switch in fans. You're seeing a lot of the heels so much. They're popular. You know, if you're good at what you do, people are gonna like you. If you're entertaining, people are gonna like you. You're gonna have to do something really vicious and something really believable to really have that hatred. And I don't know if you just don't see that as much in 2019. You see, man, I want to see these two guys go at it because they're two great fighters, two great wrestlers. But like, you really don't see like, hey, I want to see this guy beat up that guy because of what he did type deal anymore.
You win this fight, you're gonna have a chili dog?
I am a chili connoisseur, so I will definitely have a chili dog with a big smile on my face.
They do it right in Chicago, so you got to celebrate that way that you're here.
Well, I had Giordano's for breakfast. You guys better send me something.
Yeah, that's right, Giordano's, little stuffed spinach.
Or I'm coming for you. Sorry.
That's real.
Where'd that come
Giordano.
from?
No, I liked it.
Yeah.
Jake, good to see you.
Hey, this was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.